Um, all right, so what I said was using HDR techniques create a thought-provoking image. The concept of the image will be around a word chosen in class using word generator. Use the word as a jumping off point to create an interesting photograph. This photograph should be conceptual and you'll be expanding further than HDR techniques. I would love to see composites, color palette considerations, interesting graphic design techniques, etc. Please reach out to me if you have any trouble coming up with an interesting concept to explore. And if you have any equipment restrictions that prevent you from creating this image, please let me know as soon as possible so we can make other arrangements. Okay, so here is how I'm gonna hit publish. And then let me publish the, and then Howard and Angel remind me to publish it for you guys as well. But here's how this is gonna work, okay? So there's this website that I found that basically you hit a button and it generates a word for you. Just some random word. So what my plan is right now, I'm gonna do that with you all, each individually, and you all are gonna be assigned a word, okay? So let's just do a practice run here. 1 second. I'm getting wild with it right now. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Yeah, okay. Hold on, let me get you all on my screen. Okay, so Amanda, you're the first one in my windows here, okay? So I'm gonna just hit generate random words. Let's see what you get. Established. Okay, so that's your jumping off point. So go ahead, I'm gonna write it down. Amanda established. And if you don't like your word, I guess we can generate a new word until you get it you like, okay? So Tiha, you're next. Are you ready?
Yeah, let me see how the other words.
Yeah.
We'll go from there.
Okay. Well, we might come back to you then, Amanda. Let me just get through everybody first, okay? Tiha, your word is conviction. Okay. Howard, are you ready? Your word is transition. Robin, you ready?
Yep.
Egg. Nice.
Okay.
I like that one. Irene, you're next. You ready? Punch. That's a good one. Erica, you ready? Start. Ivy, are you ready?
Yes.
Black. Joel, are you ready?
Yes.
Fox.
Okay.
All right. And then Victor, are you ready?
Yeah.
Clay. Okay. Amanda, you want another word?
No, I'm good. I like mine.
Okay. Tiha, you want another word?
I'm good.
Wow. Howard. Just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
I'm good.
Okay. Robin?
I'm good.
Nice. Irene? Nice. Erica?
Yeah, give me another word.
Okay. Flush. That's a good one. You either have start, flush, you want to, and I'll give you one more option.
Okay, do another one. Just
Salon.
start, flush the salon. Okay. All right.
Ivy, did you like your word?
Yes.
Okay. Joel?
I'll go for another one.
Okay, let's get to another one. Electron. Wow.
Okay, I'll do that one.
Okay. And then Victor, how do you feel about clay?
I'm fine with clay.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna just do one real quick. and serve. Okay. So just as an example, you know, as a HDR image, and if I had serve, I don't know right off the top of my head, but for me, my first initial ideas, because like HDR especially is kind of like, it's hard to have people in it without them ghosting and doing all that. So my idea would be to like shoot some kind of, scene maybe that has like tables, I guess I'm also going to this idea of like going to an empty restaurant and shooting through the window and using HDR, using a polarizer on my camera, so I'm getting the reflections from outside the window, and I would maintain as much detail as possible, and go from there. So it would be about this sort of like idea of an empty restaurant, and that's where I would go with it. Does that make sense? Just going down that path. But I would also say that that's my first idea, and I would want to keep going further and further and further. Like I always say to you guys, right? Don't stop at the first idea. Take it further, right? Serve. Nobody's being served right now. Maybe, maybe for me it's about my Postmates delivery person, right? Or something like that. Or maybe it's about still life with all the empty food containers. Right? Just like anything like that. So that's where I want you to take your ideas. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? Do you guys like these kind of assignments? I used to like these kind of assignments when I was in school. Okay, cool. Yeah, I had like a teacher that would like make us pull random words from like books or whatever, and then like create like a weird short story poem, and then have to shoot the photo of that short story or poem. And I never liked those photos that I ended up taking, but it was fun nonetheless to sort of think like that. Okay, cool. Random word generator. That worked out. Okay, let's do critique now. We're gonna start with Howard's image. Can you all see it? Okay. What are your thoughts? First, actually, let's just talk about what the assignment was. What was the assignment?
An experimental landscape.
Experimental landscape. Okay. And at least one image had to be of your own, right? Okay. There's a whole concept to this. So should we read the concept, Howard? Do you want to start there?
Yeah. Because I got the cancellation of my ticket from Los Angeles to Taipei, so this cancellation induced my concept to create this landscape. On this image, the left side, I use the building. I think it's a Visual Grand Center. I think it's the iconic building in LA. And the right side is the landmark of Taipei. Because usually there are about 3 flights every day from Los Angeles to Taipei. But I called to the airline company. The guy told me there are only 2 flights left in May. So
wow.
Yeah, only 2 in May. So I think I want to go back to Taiwan. I take airplane since very difficult. So I think I create like a fantasy way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this.
Cool. Okay, what are your thoughts, everybody?
And I have a lot of airplanes on the ground because during this coronavirus period, most of the airline companies, their airplanes are scraped on the ground.
Yeah.
They don't fly.
They're grounded, yeah, for sure. Any thoughts? I like the color palette. It's this really, it's not a happy image, you know, it's sort of dark and it's sort of heavy and also kind of flat, right? It's not, there's no like real blacks in this image, right? So like all that to me like makes me feel like it's like this sort of cold, foggy, disoriented like thought process that you're going through. So I really feel like the color palette is really nice. I like the way that you've also like the method in which you've composited the images together, and you can't really, you know, distinguish where one begins and where one ends. So I think that was really successful.
Yeah, this is why I use a foreground on the left side, and use I think focal point in the far side on the right side, and serving the figure and the board like a leading line to lead into the focal point. This is my concept of composition.
Great. Let's get some feedback from others.
And Howard, this is Joel. Howard and I are teammates, so we get to see each other's photos. But I think now that I see your picture a little bit longer, I like your head the way that it is. Earlier I wrote down that the head was off of, and
yeah, but, I agree.
Yeah, with the idea of what I didn't realize that that Taipei was in the back and the LA skyline was in the back. So it makes more sense, and I think you did a really good job with that.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
I agree with what Hiroshi was saying about your color palette. I really liked it too. It definitely shows that gloominess. And at first I didn't understand what was going on, but the longer I looked at it and the more details I looked and the more my eye moved around, I realized what was going on. Like the airplanes are grounded, and I like that you kept the color in the airplanes because my eyes went straight there after is that a surfboard? So after that, I went down to the airplanes and I said, you know what, you're right. Airplanes are grounded right now. And this is definitely that fantasy of like wishing to go somewhere when you can't, and how the color palette adds to that fantasy. But at the same time, it's like gloomy, you know, you want to, but you can't. And yeah, I agree. I really like the color palette. I like the way you used it and the decisions you made with it. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Joel, is yours down here somewhere? No.
Mine is in the system somewhere.
Oh, is it? Okay, I'll go look for it in a second. We talked about this a little bit last week. Did you make any adjustments to this, Ivy?
I tried like to make the silhouette more stand out, but I think it doesn't look as good at this one because I wanted
Shoot, sorry. It just disappeared on me.
Yes, and I wanted to show like the color is gradually getting dark on the bottom, and his head is like fading away. His mind like is it's like thinking about like the far place like Hawaii, and he wants to go over there, something like that.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is I don't know how I necessarily feel about this, but you know, when I think of Hawaii, I don't necessarily think of like a harbor with a bunch of boats. So I wonder, you know, it's not necessarily that it's wrong or right, but it's just interesting to think about Hawaii as a place with a bunch of boats.
Oh,
Um,
actually, this is the hotel like we used to stay. Every time we went there and we just stayed this hotel, and this is the ocean view, like in front of
yeah,
the window. And he's
I
really,
guess
yeah.
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I guess what I mean more is like, I don't necessarily think like it needs to be specific to Hawaii as much as it just needs to be this idea of some kind of paradise or some longing for this other place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just wonder, and that's just me thinking out loud. You know, and and also like the domestic space in which the kid is in, you know, maybe we need to see more of that house or something that, no, maybe not. Maybe it is indicating. Why don't you guys tell me, does it feel like the image of the kid, does it feel like it's indicating like a suburb or domestic space that's not the same as the place, the other photo? Does it feel different? I definitely feel longing. Like that's very apparent. But does it do the two locations juxtapose each other?
I feel like it needs more silhouette, like how you had said, to kind of separate the location.
Okay. Did I see a head nod as to my question about, do they seem like two very separate locations? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Based on what based on what she said last week, of how she asked her son, where do you wish you could be right now? And like, this is what's happening in his mind. I think it works. But now that she's saying that that's the view from her hotel, I wish that he didn't have anything behind him, maybe just the blinds, and he's like wishing he was looking outside his hotel window looking at that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to present, because like every time we stay in that hotel, and the favorite part, he said he is like enjoying the view, and every time we had breakfast or afternoon snack, and he's like standing right in front of the window and looking out the ocean view. He's really enjoying that. So that's why he is standing in front of the window, like in our house, and he's like hoping it's Hawaii and have that sort of nice view.
Right. Well, I think it's successful. I think I think all, you know, it's juicy with meaning. So that, you know, I think you nailed it. Is there anything that you have any questions for us, Ivy?
No, not right now.
Okay, great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Tiha.
Hello.
Let me make this a little bigger.
Yeah.
Can you all see it?
Yeah, as you all well know, you know, this one is my fifth idea. So
Your fifth idea, nice.
That's my fifth idea, and then you know, it represents like, you know, how I feel right now. You know, like being isolated, and you know, and then you can also see the fence in the foreground. You know, it's kind of like, you know, representing like, you know, stay-at-home order, and then like, you know, you cannot really go anywhere. And then also like, you know, I'm just staying home, like, you know, and then all the like beautiful like landscape out there, and I couldn't get to, you know, but yeah, it's something came in my mind, you know, so yeah.
Nice.
Today.
Okay. What do you all think?
There reminds me of a movie that I saw. It's like an anime movie, and it's like a house that is magical that runs around. They have
Howl's
like
Moving Castle.
yeah, that one.
Castle?
Yeah, that one.
So cool. Is that a good thing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Tiha, this fence, so good, man. So good. It's fingers, right?
I didn't even
Yeah,
notice that.
that's my finger.
I didn't
That's
even notice that. It was I thought it was a fence.
yeah, I think that's my favorite part of this
Yeah,
image.
I know.
Your finger fence, are you kidding me? This is great. Your fifth idea worked out for you, man.
I thought it was loaves of bread for a second. Like pretzels.
Good job, man. I feel like it's really good, dude.
I didn't even think twice about it. Like I just thought it was a fence.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
pointed it out.
It's a finger fence, man. So good. So good.
Thank you.
And then this house is this is sort of like, so the idea is that like you're on this house
Yeah.
and that paradise is over here and
Yeah.
you're on this like island that you cannot you can't get yourself off of to get to the paradise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Juicy. Okay. Cool, man. Is there anything else that anybody has to add? I think it's really good, man. I think it's like, you know, it also like deals with this idea of longing and like, you know, what we're all sort of going through right now, but it's a, you know, it's funny. And I like that. I like images that are funny, you know? It's good. It's a dark humor even. So good job. Anything else? All right, let me move on. Irene. Ooh. Okay, now I gotta.
This one's my favorite one.
Yeah, that one really good.
Man,
Oh,
can you all see it if I make it that small? Okay. Why is it your favorite one? What's your favorite thing about it?
I like how at first you're like, wow, look at how beautiful that water inside of that jar. It's so pretty. And how the jar's photographed and everything, it's great. And then you just look at the reflection and you expect to see the reflection, and that's not the reflection.
Nah,
Reflection
you're
is
right.
really different. And I just like that, the whole concept about how this is what we're expecting, but this is actually what we're getting in reality, or what we're in.
Okay. Yes, I mean, reflections are conceptually they're you know, they hold a lot of weight, right? Okay. Other thoughts? I mean, again, I feel like the palette on this so good, right? So cold.
It's a beautiful piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this
Well done.
when I see this image, it makes me long for the inkjet printers. I want to see this thing on the wall, you know. Yeah, I want to see this thing like printed on like a really beautiful matte paper, nice and big, right? It's great. This is really good. What whose is this, Irene?
It's mine. Yeah.
Can you kind of explain your concept a little
So
bit?
my concept with it was kind of like, well, we're all like trapped inside right now, but like everything, and I don't know if you've seen in like nature and stuff like that, everything's kind of like clearing up and like full of life again, and then we're like kind of like isolated and trapped, and like, it's like gloomy, and like it's just like a opposite side of the coin, I guess. Like it's flipping around for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's really nice. How did you photograph? How did you strip the jar out of a background and put that blue down, or
no? So I took a mirror outside and I shot the glass mason jar on top of it, but I like positioned it to where it was just like the blue sky itself.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have to cut it out of anything. It was just how I photographed it.
That's great. That's really great. Good job. Love it. Good. I mean, man, problem solving skills. I love it.
I like how
Hey.
simple too. It's just simple and
Yeah.
message is clear. Yeah.
Yeah. Experimental landscape doesn't mean that it has to be complicated, huh? It just means take a mirror outside, put a jar in it on top of it and go, right? Great work. Okay. Anything else anybody wants to add? Irene, do you have any questions for us?
No, not really.
All right. When we get back to school, I'm expecting to see this thing printed, okay? Is Paola, she's not here, right?
No, but I really like this one too.
Yeah, it's great. It's so funny. Let's move on because you know, it's always better when the artist is here so that we can talk to them. But yeah, it's really cool. All right, Victor. So good. Can you all see it? Thoughts?
Reminds me of like a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
You guys all did so well. I'm like so impressed.
Yeah, me too.
I'm upset with my mind for not thinking of some of these things.
Well, that's good. That just means it's a challenge, Joel.
Yeah.
You got to keep up with these young ones.
Yeah, I love it.
Cool. Okay, Victor, why don't you explain to us your concept a little bit?
Because you said you wanted a landscape, but I was like, I don't want to take a picture of a landscape, so I made my own landscape, which is literally just a picture of a plant.
Yeah.
And I made that my landscape and just put myself in there and kind of like in this my own world, kind of my own thing, like in my own world, just there.
It's great. It's great.
And
We're gonna have a self-portrait assignment here pretty soon. So if you know, I could see this as being sort of a project that you could really expand on if you're interested in something like that. How do you feel about this process? Did you enjoy it, or was this like torture for you?
No, it was fine. I liked it. It was bad.
Cool. Yeah, it looks like you like it. It looks like you, because of like the care and concern you put into the work. Yeah, it really comes through. It's really nice. It's also kind of funny, right?
Yeah, I was trying to go for like, I don't know, experimental, really just
Yeah,
really make it experimental, not something, I don't know.
it's great. Cool. Anybody wants to add? Anybody hate it and just can't look at this any longer? No, none of that? All right. Cool. All right. Well, good job, man. Thank you for sharing. All right, Amanda. There's two of these, right? Is this how they're supposed to be viewed, like together like this? Amanda?
Yes. It looks different than what I have, but yeah, that's my image.
Thoughts? I realize you've created a horizon line. Is that what that is, with like a big landmass?
It is. That's what I was noticing too when it uploaded. I didn't have it that perfectly straight. So something happened when I was moving layers possibly in Photoshop. I think that's why.
Yeah, or when you save it as a JPEG, it probably flattened it and did something weird.
That's probably what.
But now that I'm like, I thought it was two separate images, and I was viewing it as two separate images. But now that I like made it smaller and like kind of like stepping back and looking at it, it really works.
Yeah.
It really works for me. I almost think like the only thing that you would need is like maybe right here, you know, there needs to be a line for the water. You know, otherwise it's this landmass that connects with this landmass.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I don't know if that's, did you want it to look like they were connecting?
No, I wanted it to be like a road leading to the mountains, not
Yeah.
necessarily the road is.
Wow. It's like, it, you know, it's really disorienting. It's
Is it?
really disorienting when I look at it. I like it feels like my eyes are trying to focus back and forth, and I love that. I love that feeling, and when images do that to me.
Really? You know
You
what?
know?
It's funny that you say that. I hate when that happens. I noticed
Really?
that, like, my background Seinfeld, right? So I was watching a Seinfeld episode the other day, and George's face was out of focus, but the cereal boxes behind him were totally in focus, and my eyes were like trying to.
Oh yeah.
I was like, Mom, they don't know what they're doing. It's out of focus.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
funny to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like the thing is like right here is where your depth of field is. You know, very shallow right here,
Mhm.
and then this like silhouette of this person
Mhm.
is here. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I one critique that I might have is might try to match these blues a little better.
Okay.
You know, it probably means that this blue, and we'll get into sort of color in a few weeks, but this blue up here, here, let me ask you all this. What is the difference in the two blues? Other than they're different blues. What's different about them? Robin, you're in my color class. What's different about them?
I couldn't tell you.
So this blue up here, okay, let's say this blue down here has a lot more yellow in it. Do you all see that? So, you know, think of color as having other colors in it, right? To arrive, it's not just blue. It's, you know, this is a blue that has more sort of, this blue has more blue in it, whereas this blue has more yellow in it. So it kind of makes it that like emerald, like teal color, right? Robin, should we do that assignment where everybody shoots the sky? Did you hate that assignment?
No, it just didn't really do anything for me.
Wow. Okay, cool. Well, that sounds like that we're gonna have to do that assignment then, just to make sure that it does something for you. But yeah, so this blue and this blue have they have different qualities. So all I would say is like maybe take a little more time out to match the blues. And I'll go over in a couple weeks how to just isolate the blues and go after the blues. And then I would also say probably, you know, maybe even match up these colors a little more.
So why would you want to match the colors?
Because the way that the way that we're viewing, not perfectly match it, but the
like
ocean is reflecting the sky, right? So when the ocean is reflecting, but like we can even like all look at Tiha's background right now, you can see the difference in those blues. Doesn't really, you know, it's not the end of the world. I don't think that, but I definitely do think like if we added some more yellow into this blue or added a little more blue into this blue, right? Or reduce the amount of yellow in this blue, then we might get closer. It's got green in it too. Do you all see the green in here? So, you know, that's just something to think about. But I think as an image, it's really cool. It's really disorienting. It's really strange. And it's exactly the kind of thing that I was talking about, like creating a landscape. Strange. Good
Cool.
job.
I really struggled. I had an idea. I was thinking about Hawaii too. I went to Hawaii a couple years ago with my church to help out at church out there. And I just, every time I see these type of mountains, I think of Hawaii because that's like, it's so iconic. So there's this, can I explain? So
Please do. Yeah.
there's this stray cat that comes to our house, and of course my dad decided to feed it one day, and so she's always around. But one day she was lying down and I was looking at her stripes, and I was like, oh my gosh, those look like the Hawaiian mountains. And so that is actually the cat. And
Love it. That's what I'm talking about. That's so great.
yeah, so that's the cat with her fur and her stripes. And then the rest of the pictures are actually all have to do with Hawaii. The top picture of the clouds are actual picture I took in Hawaii of the clouds. The ocean too with the waves. And my friend gave me the idea for the road to actually use tea leaves. And so I had tea from Hawaii and I emptied them out, and that's Hawaiian tea on the floor too.
Nice.
So
Yes.
I just
this is
realized
exactly.
that I was like, oh my gosh, everything has to do with Hawaii, and it all started because of some cat's fur.
Yeah. This is a really cool image. Really love it. I really love the like context that you've sort of added to it too with your backstory. It's great, right? Good job. Nailed it.
Thanks.
All right.
That's mine.
Yeah. Love it. Okay. This is my first time seeing it, so I'm looking at it. Okay. Thoughts?
It reminds me of one of those like videos I've seen on YouTube where like they just get random stuff and they make a landscape out of it, and they make like a short film, like a little cartoon out of it. So like this is a scene of a car driving through, something like a landscape.
It's
Yeah.
like a stop animation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this so much. This is another one that I'm bummed that we don't have the printers available. This absolutely needs to be printed on like a really nice glossy paper, right? It just needs to be screaming.
I feel like I'm not done with it. Like there's so many layers that I got so enticed with, like the cans, the bottles, and I had other things that I was gonna put in, but it just was too much, I guess.
Yeah, no, I think you're good. I think things that I would do is maybe the Budweiser cans seem a little flat and they could use a little punch of contrast or something like that. Tell us about this. What is your concept here?
So I like to walk around all the time. So whenever I go and take my camera, I usually find a lot of trash, and I'll pick up trash if I have a bag and stuff. But I saw that there was a lot of Budweisers, like all sorts of little cans and bottles all over the place. So I started taking pictures of the trash individually, and I just got the ones that I like the most and decided to make a mountain out of the Budweiser. And then that car, this guy at a shop near my house has it, and he always covers it up when it's raining. So right after the rain, he covered it up, and I thought it looked really cool with the red and blue.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a junky atmosphere. So I kind of wanted it to be like the car is junky itself, but the environment's like made up of, alcoholic beverages, and he's like, he or she, whatever, is driving away. And I don't know if you can see the staircase in there. That's kind of like a little metaphor in a sense.
They didn't come off as, the cans did not come off as mountains to me. It felt more like a wall.
Okay.
Or it feels like, but I guess like it's still working the same in that it's like encapsulating this moment that's in the foreground. Did I tell you about the the Coors Light project?
No.
Oh, crazy. When I was in undergrad, my best friend, we had still life class together, and we were both like the worst still life photographers ever. And so we were, you know, we were really like pushing sort of the boundaries of what we considered still life was. They're two friends of mine, and this one friend decided for his still life project that he would just drink a bunch of Coors Light cans and make a big pile of those shiny Coors Light cans and then photograph them, and then created this like really crazy darkroom black and white print in the darkroom of just a stack of cans. I thought I told you guys about that, and that's why you did that. But that's, I mean, same sort of idea of just like taking these materials that are sort of like everyday to us and like sort of attaching meaning to them, and especially by the way you've basically you've collaged your images together to create this. So I love this a lot. And I like also, I feel like it's like saying something about like the culture of alcohol consumption, and you know, it doesn't feel positive to me.
Yeah, the whole thing with it is, you know, as soon as COVID obviously happened, I've been seeing a lot more alcohol cans on the streets in general. So that kind of gave me like a spark of an idea, like, okay, well, I can find trash everywhere. And I'm actually starting a project with like cigarette butts. I'm gonna try to like get a bunch and use some sort of art.
Ooh.
So.
Do you know about Irving Penn?
Yes.
Okay, you saw those?
I think I did. I'll have to go back.
Oh, most definitely look up Irving Penn cigarette butts. He photographed cigarette butts that he would pick up in New York, but he photographed them with an 8x10 camera. So like the detail is insane. And he made these big giant, you know, by taking something so tiny and then just elevating it to this big giant perfect like darkroom print is very interesting. So yeah,
I have seen it actually. Yeah. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, go back and take a look at those.
But
This is great work.
Like the fire hydrant, I like taking pictures of random things in the city, but that kind of signifies like, you know, there's water wherever there's alcohol. So you just have to look for it, you know?
Yeah. And I think also like with your description of the covering of the car, you sort of get that too, that there's water in this place. Okay. And hell, there's water right here.
Yeah.
Right? Good job. Love it. Love it. You all did so well. I'm so proud. I'm going to brag about you guys in my faculty meeting again today. I'm going to tell them how good we're all adapting. Okay. Give me 1 second. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can find Joel's image. Joel, you said you submitted it?
Yes.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah, I thought the same place where Howard's was.
Don't see it there, but maybe you submitted it to the assignments. No, I don't see it there. Discussion. Oh, I think I found it.
He has an Amanda's reminded me of an album cover, and I finally found it. I was digging around in the background.
Wait, share it.
It's Plastic Beach by the Gorillaz. It reminds me of T-Hot and Amanda's for some reason.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, by the Gorillaz, right?
Yeah. Very cool. Thank you. Oh, okay, I found it. Here we go. that better? Very cool. Thoughts?
That's killer.
When you made the assignment, I just took it literally.
But I mean, taking it literally still makes it, taking it experimental literally means, I guess means that you're making it experimental.
Yeah, yeah. But the
Yeah,
landscape, yeah.
it's great, man. It really, what did you end up doing over here? You cropped it out or what?
Yeah, cropped it out, adjusted the color a little bit.
Yeah, another one that needs to be printed, man. Wow. Really cool. What are you all thinking? And the idea again was like sort of this like these are like this is like a cityscape.
Yeah, cityscape. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Yeah, I think like the angle too, putting the camera down, bringing it down low and shooting up is really great, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Did you enjoy this process?
I did. It was fun. It was fun
Nice.
seeing it. I've got 100 different variations.
Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great job. I don't have any critiques. Good. It's just good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I wish I could see it printed, but maybe you can include it in the book and it'll be printed there.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. Again, everybody, I'm very proud of you all. There was not a single bad one in there. Good job. Okay. How are we all doing? Are we all surviving? Yes? No? Do you all need a break? Am I still sharing my screen? Okay, there we go. How about I give you guys a break? It's 11:27. I only have like one quick thing to go over as far as like technical stuff, and then you all have your assignment to work on, the HDR assignment. Yeah, I'm gonna use the restroom real quick. So can you all meet me back here in 10 minutes? 11:37.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, cool. You guys can either just leave it on Zoom, or you can log out and log back in. It'll be the same. Okay?
Okay.
Cool. Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Oh, who's sharing their screen? Somebody was sharing their screen. Can you guys hear my air conditioner in the background? Is that annoying? No? Okay, cool. That's so hot. What in the world? All right. We're gonna shift gears here. You know, you have your HDR assignment this week. It's gonna be conceptual, and I'm working sort of a week ahead. So the next assignment after the HDR assignment, I haven't issued it yet, but it's gonna be a black and white documentary assignment. And what that means is we're gonna shoot digitally, and we're gonna convert our files to a black and white, into black and white. I'm gonna show you guys some, just the simple techniques in Photoshop today, not Lightroom, Photoshop. The simple techniques that I use to convert to black and white, and then next week we'll go over some more specialized ways of creating black and white images with like tinting and things like that. Okay. And when I say we're shifting gears, we're going to take a look. I'm not going to show the video to you guys. Maybe I'll show it next week. We'll see. But there's one Mexican photographer in particular. She's a legend, and she's probably one of my top 3 favorite photographers. She's amazing. So definitely we're going to take a look at her work. She obviously does not shoot digitally. She shoots all film, and she just has some incredible imagery. But it's sort of in this like vein of like documentary photography. But she's sort of in ways that her photography as documentary becomes surreal. So she steps into surrealism with her documentary photography. So we'll get there eventually. But I just wanted to show you all the technique that I use in Photoshop to convert my images to black and white, okay? So give me one second here and make sure I have everything open. Okay. Sorry, one second. Here we go. Okay, so I have these 3 images here. They're all kind of different. And essentially, this is sort of just some random works that I pulled out that I'm sort of working on. Not this one so much, but I thought it would be a good image to take into Photoshop and convert. So let's actually start with the simple one. This one is actually might look like it's black and white already. I mean, you can see a little bit of color, but this project is the project that I'm working on in particular right now. So I just thought I'd show you all so you can see how I'm utilizing Photoshop. Okay, real quick. Did we go over Lightroom settings as far as external editing goes? I don't remember. So with your Lightroom at home, especially, go up to your preferences up here, and you'll see, man, there's bars in the way. You'll see file handling. When you go to file handling, I'm sorry, external editing. When you go to external editing, you can set how you want your images to be opened up into Photoshop. So right now it's set to 8-bit. So if I wanted to, which I actually probably will do right now, I'll change it to 16-bit. But you know, the computers at school, I always tell everybody to use 8-bit because they just cannot handle 16-bit files. So I changed it to 8-bit. I'll just leave it at 8-bit because that's where I started at. The color space, if you don't come over here and set it, I believe it's set to Pro Photo, which is a bigger color space than Adobe RGB 1998, but I find it not useful because I end up having to convert my color profile to Adobe for printing anyways. So I leave mine at Adobe. You can change the file extension to TIFF if you don't want PSDs. 300 DPI for the resolution, and compression is none. So that just means when I come over to my image here, right? Let me go over here and let me close it. Oh, I opened it twice. Okay, so when I come over here, I hit Command E to open this file up in Photoshop. And when I do so, that means that it's at 300 DPI, right? It's you know, this is the native size of the file when it opens up. And then the color space is set to Adobe RGB 1998. Okay.
Question about that. So Adobe RGB is the same thing as sRGB?
No. Good question. Thank you for asking. Think of Adobe RGB 1998 is a massive color space. It's huge. sRGB is a teeny tiny color space. So it contains far less colors than Adobe RGB 1998. However, sRGB is great for the internet. It's great for sending files off one by one, sharing, you know, especially like somebody who might not even have like a color calibrated monitor. Having a massive color space will do them no good. Adobe RGB 1998 is perfect for when we're printing. Think of it as like the professional color space, whereas sRGB is sort of like the consumer color space. So it's a great question. Yeah.
Going back to the external editing.
Yes.
The compression you had on none.
Yeah, I put it on none.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's for editing in Photoshop CC whatever 2019. I don't use any other additional editor, but if you do have some other additional editor, you can set all those settings here as well. Okay. Okay, so black and white. So this project is sort of I'm inspired by this like group of Japanese photographers in the 70s that were looking at materials, looking at performative acts of photography and all that stuff. Well, I'm not going to get into all that, but what I'm doing right now is I'm focusing in on sort of cracks in the ground or sort of imperfections in the asphalt, and thinking of the asphalt as like a skin to the city, right? Underneath the skin is the actual soil, the earth, or whatever is beneath the skin. So in saying that, I'm interested in creating black and white images of these photographs. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna come over here to my layers, and there's a couple different ways you can do it. There's black and white. The black and white editor is what I use. Okay. Some people I've noticed like to go to hue saturation and pull the saturation all the way out, and that'll convert it to a black and white file. What I do not do is I do not convert the file. There's a way that you can convert the file within the color space and change it to a working grade .20%. Some people like to work in that method. I don't personally like to use that because I like to print my photos in RGB 1998, regardless of if they're black and white or not. The reason I like to do that is sometimes you might want to go back and tint your photos or something like that. And when you start tinting is when you're introducing color back in, which we will do next week, okay? So I don't use this method. What I do use is, and I don't use hue and saturation because my personal favorite is the black and white editor, because you can now go into the different channels of your file, and you can affect the different channels. And we'll see how this looks on, I chose specific files for later to look at this, but you can essentially take the channels and you can start to see, like, if you take a look, you can see where the reds exist in this file. You see that? You see them changing, right? The yellows, same. You know, if red and yellow both exist in the same area, chances are it's kind of an orange area of the file, right? Greens, there might not be a lot of greens in this. There probably not a lot of cyan. There might be some blues. There we go. But see, now it's, to me, it's a more interesting way of creating contrast with these files, right? And now once I do that, I get it to a place that I'm comfortable with. Now I'll come back over here to curves and I'll start introducing contrast this way, okay? Do you all know about an S-curve? So
Yes.
think of you, some of you do, okay, perfect. Think of this line is where the tonality exists on your photograph, right? So this bottom left corner is your blacks, this upper right corner is your whites. So all the rest of your gray tones, especially in a black and white image, exist right here on this line somewhere, right? So in the middle, that's your perfect mid-tone. So if I take the middle part of the curve and I drag it downward, it's making my image darker. If I drag it upward, it's making my image lighter, right? Mid-tone wise. I could do the same with the blacks. I can take the blacks and I could push them to the right and it makes the blacks blacker, right? I can do the same. I can bring them up here this way and make it flatter, lighter, right? Same idea with the highlights. Drop it down, it makes the highlights darker, or I can bring them to the left and makes the highlights brighter, okay? So now an S curve is, if we come in here and let's go under a preset and we hit medium contrast as a preset, you'll see that the line here turned into an S. You all see that? Okay. So when you take that line and create an S, that's adding contrast. Okay, that's making your highlights brighter and your shadows darker. It's adding contrast. Now, if you take the same thing and I thought it used to increase contrast, lighter. No, it used to have that. Okay, but if we do the same thing, but we go in the opposite direction, what we're doing is we're giving it less contrast. Does that make sense? So there, here, let's do this the right way. We'll do this as a flatter. We'll name this file layer as flatter. I'm going to turn that layer off. I'll do another one, curves, and I'll change this one to strong contrast so we can really see the difference. And then we'll name this contrast. Okay, so now I can see the difference. So now I have my strong contrast or I have my flat contrast. Okay, and it's always good to go back and forth and see what's working for the image. Now for this project in particular for myself, it's more of a strong contrast because I'm really trying to accentuate the imperfections in the ground. Okay, and creating a you know, it's almost like a landscape or you know, the grit is important to me in these images. And I could even do another layer, another curves layer, and might even like make it a little darker, right? Now I'm really starting to get somewhere that works for me in the way that I see these images to be made. That makes sense? Okay. So let's try it in a different image. You know, documentary, sort of surrealist documentary is definitely more my work than like how we've been working previously with experimental landscapes and composites and stuff like that. So I'll probably be really excited about this kind of work, but yeah. So like for me, like this image right here, you know, did you all know about what's happening in Newport Beach right now?
Yeah.
The ocean?
Oh,
Crazy.
I've heard about the protests, but not about the ocean.
No, not the protest, but the protest is crazy too. No, the ocean right now, there's like, I don't even know what they're called. Yeah, the waves glow blue at night. So there's a bunch of
from the plankton, I think it's called, some like bioluminescent.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually saw it the other night. I went down there and I was so surprised how many people were there. So instead of shooting the waves, I was shooting pictures of the people looking at the waves. It was bizarre to see people on the beach at night. And then there was a bunch of surfers out there too. So anyways, let's try that same method. Okay, so we'll go black and white. And in this photo, there's a lot of greens in here, right? And probably some blues in this area. So let's see what happens. Okay, I'm gonna take my greens, I'm gonna make them lighter. Oh, it's gonna be yellows, more yellow, right? So we can really pull out some of that detail in the ocean. There's a little bit of red in his skin, and then the blues, we have a lot in there, right? It starts to fall apart though, especially because the ISO was so high on my camera. So I'm gonna actually bring it down and just let it glow a little bit, okay? We can check to see if there's any magentas, not too much. Cyan, there's a little bit up in that same area, in those blues. Yeah, and then the reds, we decided that was just in the skin tone, okay? So there's that. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna come over here to curves, and we can try it with, I think medium contrast will probably be even too much still, right? I'm losing way too much information by doing that. So what I'm actually gonna do is, a good segue, I'm gonna do some burning and dodging. Now the way I do my burning and dodging is actually different than there's a way to do burning and dodging with the tools over here. Okay, you have your, I don't know if you guys can see, you're in my way, but there we have the dodge tool and we have the burn tool, and you can just start burning and dodging that way. My personal favorite way to burn and dodge is I like to create an empty layer by coming down here to the bottom right corner. Have I explained this to you guys already? No. Okay, I come down here. Next thing I do is I come up here to the blending mode. I change it from normal to overlay, okay? I'm gonna name this layer also B and D, okay? So I know what layer it is. And I'm gonna come over here to my paintbrush, which is B on my keyboard. B on my keyboard. It's right here, this tool. Now, I changed the opacity to, I have my magic numbers, which is 12 and 50. Okay, the opacity 12, flow is at 50. Those are my favorite numbers. Now you'll see what will happen. So I have my burn and dodge layer, I have my brush. Now, down here at the bottom, I have black in my foreground and I have white in my background, okay? Let's just say for giggles, let's say that you actually have red in your foreground, okay? The key command is just push D on your keyboard and it changes it to pure black and pure white in your foreground and your background color, okay? If I want to toggle between the two colors, I hit X, and now you'll see white is in the foreground and black is in the background. So there's a lot of toggling that goes on with this for me, okay? Now, if I want to dodge, I'm gonna paint with one of these colors. Which color do you think I'm gonna paint with for dodging?
Lighter.
White, yeah, exactly. So let's say I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna dodge this dude's surfboard, okay? I have my brush, you see how big my brush is? With the brackets, I can make it a little bit smaller, right? And so burning and dodging in most things in Photoshop, keep this in mind, it should not happen in one swoop. I should not just click and drag and be done dodging this guy's surfboard out. What it should be is a gradual buildup, so it's soft. If you're doing it in one swoop, then it's gonna be really abrupt and hard, okay? So my whole point, and also you wanna make sure that your brush is soft up here. The hardness should be turned down, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna start to just build it. Okay, I'm building it. Now I can turn the layer on and off just to see what I'm doing. Not bad, right? I don't want that to happen in one swoop. I'll even maybe dodge out his wetsuit a little bit, right? Boom, not bad. Okay, let's dodge out some of this wave right here. Let's bring out some of that white detail. Let's make it like real dramatic. Okay, maybe even, I think, you know, I like to think of the burning and dodging as painting. Okay, so I'm going to paint some of this information back in right here. And I'm just clicking and dragging and swiping. Okay, I'm going to bring in some of that information over here. You see how it's a gradual buildup. It's not one swoop. Okay, do it like that. Now, turn that layer on and off, and you can start to see what's happening. Not bad. That's what I want. Okay, maybe I decided I went a little too far. Toggle back with the black. Maybe just bring some of that attention away from the edges with a vignette. Right? Come over here. Do the same thing. Bring some of that attention back in. Right now we're getting somewhere. Right? Maybe I want to toggle back and open some of the pier up over here. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Now I'm starting to create a much more dynamic image. And remember, what is important to you, or what should be important to you when you're burning and dodging, is you're guiding your viewer to look where you want them to look and experience the image the way you want them to experience. That's how I think of burning and dodging. Do I necessarily care that my viewer looks back here too much? Not really, right? So I might even consider bringing some of that down by burning it down a little bit. Okay, because that's not an important area to me. But maybe the patterns underneath the pier with this sky right here, maybe that's more important to me, right? Think of how you're guiding your viewer through the image and having them experience the image the way you want them to experience it. Does that make sense? Okay. Do you guys want to see one more example? Okay. This one is hilarious to me. This one is such a good metaphor.
I have a question real quick. Is there a reason why you make a layer instead of using the dodge and burn?
I personally prefer, shoot, I just closed it, but I personally prefer using that burn and dodge layer because for me, it's sort of a better way of building up. But if you like to use the layer and using the burning and dodging tool, because burning and dodging tool is good because you can control the highlights, midtones, and shadows, right? So it is a useful tool. I just personally prefer it this way because I like to think of, the way I like to think of it is painting with a color, painting with light instead of like burning and dodging where it's like very darkroom-esque for me.
Yeah, because I do the same thing. I'll either do a layer or use the tool, just depending how I feel about what it is I'm doing.
Yeah,
Just
so
wondering.
there's no right or wrong answer. Like, you know, like anything else, it's like how, you know, I'll show you on this next image another way of doing it too. But here's my favorite image, a sad jumper. You all seen these, right? Such a good metaphor, in my opinion. Do you guys know what these are? Like those jumping houses, right?
Yeah.
It's deflated.
That's how I knew the party was over.
Yeah, it's how the party's done. The castle has been deflated.
If you're a Mexican, you were in there.
Oh yeah. My ex, I dated for 9 years, and her aunt owned one of these companies that goes around and like erects these things. Yeah, we had like the big intricate ones with like the slides and the water and the whole thing. I can't believe more kids didn't get hurt on these things. They're so rough. Like the boys especially are so rough in these things. They flip them over and geez. Anyways, yes. So the sad jumper. The reason I'm picking this one is because really those channels, when I convert to black and white, you really are able to see what happens, right? every channel basically is represented in this photo. Do you all see that? So this is a good one because we can now start to really kind of deal with the contrast in this. We can deal with the contrast in these different channels really well. And I would say that your goal, if you have an image like this and that a lot of the colors are represented, is try to make it flat. Don't try to make it like look the way you want it to look here, because then later when you make it flat, you can add contrast through curves and you can sort of build up the contrast that way. Plus, if you make it a little bit flatter, if you go into burning and dodging, you have a lot to work with. Okay, so don't try to make it look, you know, all contrasty and nice right here. Just use this as an opportunity to sort of flatten it out a little bit. Right, somewhere in there. Yeah, we can open that up if we want to, but I'm gonna bring it down a little bit. Okay, so there's that. Now I'm gonna bring up my curves. I'll throw in, you know, I like the presets because I can just kind of toggle through them and see. There's linear contrast, medium contrast, oh, not negative, but strong contrast, right? Increased contrast, cross process doesn't really work. So I'm thinking like medium contrast. I'll start there. I'll even do another curves layer probably and just open up the midtones a little bit. Okay. So now I'm starting to build up this idea of what I want this to look like. Okay. Now, the other thing that I was, I don't know who was it, Victor, maybe it was you asking about the different ways of doing this. The other way of burning and dodging, of course, is open up a curves layer or levels or whatever. I can come up here and I can, let's say I just want to pop the blacks a little bit. I can do that. Now your mask is filled with white, so Option delete, because I have black in my foreground, fill that mask in with the black, and now I can come in with my brush, make sure I have white in my foreground over here, and I can start to paint in some of the areas that I want to see with some of that deeper black. Right? We can probably increase the opacity just a tiny bit. And now you can see, you can do it that way. So that's like, you know, I would name it, you know, blacks. And then you could do another layer for your highlights. Highlights, right? Increase the highlights right here. Fill that layer mask in again with black. Now the black is in the background, so hit Command delete and it'll fill it in with black because it's in the background over here, right? Now I still have my white in my foreground, so now I'm dealing with my highlights. So maybe I want to pump these highlights up over here. Maybe I want to pump this highlight up right here, make my brush a little smaller. That's the other option that you can take, right? And then come back over here. Now I'm working on my blacks again, punch the blacks up right over here, you know, something like that. Now you're really just controlling each highlight and each shadow. You're controlling highlights and shadows in that way. That's sort of separated. So you could, let's see, there it is. And then your shadows, there it is, right? And yeah, so there's your deflated castle. I feel like it's not as cool as when it's in color, but it's a good one to represent all the different tones. Cool. Any questions on that? Next week, we're gonna work on sort of tinting these a couple different ways and see how we feel about that. Awesome. Awesome. Was that helpful? Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's great. This
Cool.
is the kind of stuff I was talking about.
Okay, good, good. I have lots of these tricks then. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. 1 second. Let me just open up the Canvas site real quick. Assignments. So copy to. Okay. Oh, Joel and Howard, can you guys stick around after?
Yeah.
Okay. Where are you guys? There you are. Okay. The HDR assignment is on Canvas. Just going over it again. Amanda, your word is established. Tiha, your conviction. Howard, transition. Robin, beg. Irene, punch. Erica, you're either start, flush, or salon. Ivy, your word is black. Joel, your word is either fox or electron. And Victor, your word is clay. That make sense?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I'm around until 2:30. As always, if you want to talk, chat, tell me about your life, you want to complain, whatever, I'm here. So yeah, cool. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, Howard and Joel, stick around real quick.
Okay.
All right, let's see here. 24 people. Okay, let's see here. Joel, do me a favor. Tell me, do you know your Mount Sac email off the top of your head?
Yes. J Con, so it's my first initial, and CAHN at student.mountsac.edu.
Okay. Observer. Contract. Okay. Sorry, I misspelled Mount Sac. JCAHN at student.mountsac.edu, right?
Uh-huh.
Your role is observer. Okay, do me a favor. Hop on to your Canvas and let's see what happened. I added you to the class.
Okay.
And then Howard, can you read me off your Mount Sac email?
HLEE216 at student.mountsac.edu.
Okay, HLEE216 at
Yes.
Mountsac at student.mountsac.edu.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so Joel and okay, you guys look like you're on there. Okay, did it change the way anything looks on your Canvas?
So I see everyone is still just the three of us. That was for people. Pages didn't change. Maybe I need to, if I reboot it, I don't know. Announcements. HDR, I see. Would I be able to see the HDR assignment? I still was seeing assignments before.
It should be in a whole, my thought is it should be another course.
Okay.
So if you go under courses, do you see photo 24?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, yeah, I saw photo 24 before. Oh, looks like there's more. Okay. So there's two photo 24s. There's a photo 24 and a vocational photo 24.
Okay, yeah, go to the photo 24, not the vocational 24.
Okay, perfect.
And then try going to like one of the discussions and seeing if you can see everybody's work.
Yeah, looks like it.
It worked, huh?
Yeah.
And do me a favor, try to post something to that discussions. Like can you guys try to post your photos to that discussion?
Nice, I can see everybody's stuff.
How about you, Howard? Can you see everybody's stuff?
Yes, but I have only one vocation photo 24. I just have one.
Refresh it. See if it comes back up. You should have photo 24 and vocational 24.
No, I have only vocation 24.
Okay, maybe I did something wrong. Hold on, let's see. People. Okay, let me see.
So when I see a picture,
Try it again, Howard.
I'm in the courses discussions. I subscribe, so it's green. But if I go, the first one is the person looking, the child looking through the blinds, the shutters. How would if I click on Ivy's name, it says access denied.
Do me a favor, try this. Because technically you're an observer. So you might not be able to, you might only be able to observe what's going on. You might not be able to interact.
Okay, well, that's all right. I mean, at least I can see what's here.
But I want to see if you can post. That's what I'm interested in.
So how would I do that? Where would I go?
Let's see. So go to, is there a reply button just underneath the assignment itself?
There's a subscribe, there's up and down arrows, and then unread.
Below that, there's not a reply button?
And then at the very bottom, there's nothing.
Okay, let me see. Let's see.
So it looks like like you were saying, that I can observe, but not participate.
Yeah. Teacher, course reviewer, designer, tutor. Let me see here.
Yeah, I have both photo 24 and vocational 24.
Nice, nice. Shoot. Oh, okay. People. Let's see. Link to student.
But I can see the people in photo 24, right?
Yeah, you should be able to see them. We're just trying to figure out if we can make it so that you can post too. Yeah, I don't think I can. I'll bring it up again today to see if there might be possible. Okay. But if not, then what we'll just end up doing is kind of the same thing that you. I'll share my screen or whatever and show your guys' work during the critiques. But this way you can see what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That work for you guys?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, great. I'm glad.
Joe, Joe, may I have your number?
I'm sorry?
May I have your number?
Phone number?
Yeah.
714 829 9800.
9800.
Yes.
Do you need mine?
Yes, please.
909 485 3637.
Okay. And I can, it's a cell phone. I can text you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Howard.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.
Yes. Okay, Hiroshi. Thank you.
I'll see you guys next week.
Okay. Have a good week.
You
Take
too.
care.